Fontana, California. A track which, for many, is the long slog of the season. This is as close to Indianapolis as it gets. And when it comes to this track, I think these drivers know and understand this will be their first foray into some very quick running this season. And I have to say, conditions here today are about as difficult as they come. It's Auto Club. It's the third round of the Crest Autosport IndyCar Series live with Crest Autosport TV here, be it on YouTube, on Twitch, and all around the social media platforms. If you haven't had the chance to already, make sure you give yourself a like, give yourself a share, give yourself a follow. Do all that you need to do to bring yourself in from whichever platform you're coming through. Today's racing is sponsored by Apex Tracks, the motorsports and motor racing circuit wall art race track sculpture designers who manufacture their technology using Formula One and motorsport inspired rapid prototyping technologies out there today. That goes along with Track Racer, 603 Autosport, Digital Motorsport, Esports Sim, and the GP Box to bring yourself into racing today. I am Jake Sparey, William Foyle on the cameras here, bringing you all of the action. Let's talk about where we are right now. This will mark a quarter of the season here completed. It's a 90-lap for Raw today, and this is going to be one of the tougher races out there on the calendar to get correct. They know what they need to do, which is put everything together in such a challenge where Auto Club is going to be the tough drafting circuit where anyone has a chance of victory today. But the ideal is, you look at how this season goes, 6 weeks on, weeks break, 6 weeks then back on to finish the season. And with the runs coming up with the Milwaukee Mile, Kansas, and then Long Beach to round out the first half of the season, this is the sort of racing today where Auto Club definitely will be a fixture on everyone's calendar as they try and put themselves up with the margin of victory. The winner today of this series overall will be getting themselves a fabulous prize provided by Apex Tracks, which is a sculpture of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to go and pin up on their drivers' walls. And of course, plaque prizes will also be provided to the top 3 drivers of the championship, as well as the winner of the Indianapolis 100 round on the 19th of April. And that is provided by Uncle Luke's Sign and Sticker Shop. If you haven't had the chance to already, you're jumping in for the first time, you're seeing what this is all about, you still have the chance to enter the series, even if you find yourself in the middle of the season, by heading over to crestautosport.com. All drivers have 2 drop rounds, so your attendance in all races is not required in order to be a competitive driver. And crucially, we'll be in a couple of moments heading over towards qualifying and the work that'll be done. But this is how the championship stands at this point. It's Timothy Stroh out there on top, 61 points to the good. But what is really key is you got Thijs Barendregt there, just 6 points behind in second position after a really strong run by him last time out. Leonardo Paletta has moved up then into third in the championship. You can start to look down and see just how much of a challenge it is going to be to put all of the points together on the board on what has been a competitive start to a very good season. But we're not completely out of the realms of possibilities just yet. I do want to talk about weather conditions. They are really crucial to how this race is going to be playing itself out today as we take a look at those points still up on screen. And one of the real keys today is how hot things are at the moment. You can see the Teams Championship out there at the moment. The T&D Racing team of Stroh and Stedman, 103 points to the 72 of Crest Autosport with Apex Tracks. Just a points difference between them and the ALP team of Alfredo Morales and Leonardo Paletta, with the 4th outfit, the Necchi Racing team, finally getting a second driver so they can join the 2-man team championships out there, or the 2 driver championships, to give it all of its run. Track temperature today is 48 degrees. It is hot, it is sweltering, it is full of understeer, and is going to be a real challenge as drivers are having to lift in ways they wouldn't have expected coming into this round. On top of that, you've got a very heavy blustery wind at 24 kilometers an hour coming in from the south here today, and drivers are understeering and finding trouble out of corners in ways that they maybe wouldn't have thought that they would have found. So this is going to be an ultimate challenge here today. There's Dave Steadman out there at the moment, and a bumper field here for this one. 14 drivers have gone out there and set laps. 16 drivers have gone and put themselves with an opportunity to race today. So there are chances then to go out and get the points. There are chances that drivers could be out of position at Auto Club today. So it's worth keeping an eye out and saying, what can you do to make this race your own? And there is the championship leader, who has been such a qualifying specialist, 4th so far out there in practice. And well, can he go and put himself another step above with his 6-point lead at the top of the tables as things look right now? Do have a couple of new drivers in for this one, jumping in after his win at Indianapolis last season. You got Diego Pereño in the number 92 machine. He's in for the race for the iRacing team, building more Spanish drivers into the series. But that also comes along with 2 more drivers looking to get through. Patrick Linderboom was really, really strong in practice, and on top of Patrick Linderboom, you, of course, there have the work that's been done by one final driver, Nigel Stock, out there today. So this is how the drivers are going to line up in qualifying. It is single track qualifying. They get 2 laps to put it all together. And then once those 2 laps are completed, their day is going to be all about how they can find some times. Diego Pereño will go first. And what a quick driver to put out first in the number 92 machine. And this is going to be all about staying calm and making sure that the work that is being put in today is certainly going to play well. He does have the distinction of being the only driver in this field who has a spotter with him. He has the help of Ivan Rodriguez to go and help him out. So the iRacing team certainly taking things seriously here today, as Pereño will move out then onto circuit and will look to try and build up the speed. And he will definitely look to try and get himself up with the best opportunity that he can. Hot conditions, of course, so we'll see what these laps are going to be like, as the push is very much there from the Spaniard, running through 3 and 4 and into the very long and lisking run to the start-finish line. And now it's about gear it up then, over 350 kilometers an hour, moving in through turn numbers 1 and 2 here with the very large swathe of banking to work on forward. And coming off then onto the back stretch, it's all about picking your moment, picking the marker as you dip and try and work out how late you want to go. Still running that high line, which indicates this is all about gearing up for that second lap out there on circuit. So we'll see what the 92's first lap looks like as a banker, and it is a 33.173 as an initial attempt, but there is still that second lap that's coming through. You can see the lights on the dash in 5th gear just flashing away at Diego Pereño, showing that he's burning a lot of fuel up in the highest possible revs, moving through now to 3 and 4 once again. And is this the lap that will put him as the solid stern marker that he certainly wants? Stays nice and low, has a big wiggle though, coming out of 4. That bumper's been catching everyone out in practice, and it's a 32.407. It exactly matches his time in practice. So Pereño is the starter out there. Nigel Stock then for the Stock Racing team. We'll see what car number 26 can do as he looks to try and put pressure down and get things sorted out. So this will be an important first lap then for Nigel Stock in the number 26, and he's definitely looking for some good pace. In terms of his pace, he did a 32.446 out there in practice, so we'll see whether he'll be able to improve on that and challenge Diego Pereño for what is the pole position in this race so far at Auto Club. And over the line for that first lap, it's a 4.94, and with these hot conditions, it might just be a case that the tyres may just fall off a little quickly here today. So keep that in mind as drivers are really trying to make something happen. So looking to get this run then to 3 and 4. Stock making progress. He's about 0.08 of a second out of pole position at this point, riding well up the circuit, trying to carry that speed and then dropping back down again. And ultimately over the line, he does improve, but not enough. He does a 32.436, and that means it's only good enough for second position out there today. Patrick Linderboom is the next driver out there, second fastest in practice with a 32.199. He certainly looks like he wants to prove he has got the pace today, and Patrick's 25 could be a real contender out there for racing. He is the third Dutchman in this field, along with Jeremy Pronk and Thijs Barendregt, and Linderboom looking to get this first lap then sorted in the books. We'll see what time it is over the line. 32.750, which indicates to me that that was gearing up. Very interesting to see Linderboom using 6th gear over 5th. We saw a lot of drivers deciding that 5th gear was the best choice in terms of the run, but going into 6th, he's really finding himself a level 359 kilometers an hour, bending into 3 and 4 and looking to make that run off of the exit and over towards the line. Has Linderboom found enough pace to get forward? The answer is a 32.644. So no chance of that one really paying off in the way that he wanted to. He'll only go third fastest with that lap. So next up then after Linderboom is Logan Egan, who is out there on track. And Logan has been just getting to grips here with the run so far as the American in the Egan Motorsport Sim Racing team. He's had himself a lot of opportunities just to run through. He was very happy last time out with his top 10, and he'll certainly want to try and make that happen again. Makes that run then through 3 and in through 4. And will this first lap be anything to keep in mind as he puts himself over towards the line, puts a 32.708 on the board to start, and he's really keeping a narrow and low line. We haven't really seen too many of the quick drivers drop down to the bottom layer of the banking here at Auto Club. That second line has certainly been the one he's looking for, and a little bit of weaving on the straights there. He's trying to find something. He hit 360 Ks moving in towards turn number 3. And it really is a struggle out there to extract the time that is necessary on this circuit. That's a good lap, though, a 32.620. He jumps Patrick Linderboom, and work still to be done then in qualifying here today. Alfredo Morales, then, will be the next driver out there. And the Venezuelan is certainly hoping that his team will make some inroads here today. They are just a point outside of the Apex Tracks outfit, which is Ollie Peters and Alex Everett, and I'm sure that Morales here will definitely want to score some big points here today at Auto Club, and this, of course, being the opening lap, will be a good eyesight on how the ALP drivers are going to be looking at points today. Making the drive then over the line, it's a 32.725 out there, so no real chance to improve. We are, of course, in the midday sun in California, so it is sweltering and it's beating down here today with the temperatures. But again, on that back stretch, can Alfredo Morales find something out of this lap? He needs to find about 0.3 of a second for pole position, which is going to be difficult at the best of times, let alone the difficult conditions he finds himself in today. Over the line goes Morales, and my goodness, he almost did it. A 32.433, 3 thousandths clear of Nigel Stock, and puts himself up then into second position with that lap. Late into session, though, was Inigo Mardones out there on circuit, so he's got himself a little bit less practice than everybody else, but he's got work to be doing at this point. And can he put himself in the absolute best position possible? So you've got Inigo Mardones here looking to try and make something happen out there, going through 3 and 4 for this opening laps attempt. And will this be for the Spaniard, who has had a habit of not going for it on the second lap, a good attempt to get things going? It's a 32.657 So a pretty nice start. 361, flicking 362, going in towards turn number 1 once again. And really, it's about that minimal movement of the wheel. And especially on the back stretch, you want to be holding it as straight as possible. It's slightly curved over to the left-hand side to aid and help with the banking around this Auto Club circuit today. And ultimately, you could think that Inigo Mardones, he gets a wiggle again, going through 4, and that's the bump catching people out. And a 32.448 without that wiggle. You could argue he could have taken second, but it will be at least 4th for Inigo out there on circuit. Ben Bennyworth will feel hard done by after last week. Got himself a penalty, had to take 2 trips on the lane, and he is certainly hoping that 96 shows some pace, because he worked wonders in the draft all the way at Phoenix a week ago. So can he in California, in Fontana, put a good time out there on the board? Still the 32.4, the time to beat by Diego Pereño. And at this stage, you could say, with the sort of times we've seen, he may be some sort of a big track specialist out there. Bennyworth getting the first time then on the board, a 32.770, slowest of the lot so far. But he does know he's got that extra lap, and he's just taking that wide out to in to out, which we haven't really seen too much of here in terms of laps. We've seen a lot of just in to out and not the, I would say, traditional road style line here today at Auto Club. But again, dipping right down onto the very bottom line and trying to run back up as close to the wall as possible, dipping back down on the drive over to the line. Ben Bennyworth, a 32.674, does not improve position. He's bottom of the times we have seen so far. Stephen de Grevelier then will be next. Had a torrid time of things over at Phoenix. His race was over in 7 laps when he spun it out of the pits and threw out the first caution of the racing that we had over there. De Grevelier, then the Belgian driver, will be certainly hoping that he's got a trick or two up his sleeve to find some incredible pace today. And he gets himself geared up then for his first flyer in the number 23 603 Autosport car, diving through turns 1 and 2 and climbing back up the banking, not all the way though, leaves himself that angle. The lines do move over by 1 lane as you gear yourself up for 3 and 4, and he dips once more back down to the bottom of the track and tries to really charge back up and show what his first lap is capable of. And ultimately on his first attempt then, it's a 5.38 from de Grevelier, who looks like he might like this circuit today in the hot conditions. Dips back down again all the way to the white line, the apron out there on circuit. Worth noting, you can't run the apron at any point in time during the race, except for when you're diving down onto pit lane, which is going to always be difficult at such a quick oval as this one is. Moving through 3 and 4 and making that challenge known. Stephen de Grevelier's number 23 puts a 32.494, does not improve and remains 5th fastest out then with the qualifying attempt that was done there. Fran Herrera's RDR Lagoon car then will be the next contender out there. Just consistently finding finishes is Fran. Had himself in a little trouble hitting the wall late on at Phoenix, and that brought him to the back of the pack, but stayed on the lead lap enough to get himself some very strong points out of that. So what can the Spaniard find as he makes the run then through 3 and 4? This first lap going to be put on the board then for car number 85. How is this going to play out then in the long and the short? It's an 8.60 start things off, so bottom of the times once again, but we have seen drivers using that first lap as a warm-up to give themselves that second lap. Pereño was certainly a mastermind of that, as he did a 33-second lap on his first lap to put the 32.407 that puts him fastest of anybody at this point in time. It is a cluttered 32.4 list, the top 5 all within a tenth of a second, but here comes Fran Herrera making the run to the line, and it's a 32.459. He'll join them, but he'll do so in 5th position. So Fran Herrera, not bad in terms of a time, but there still might be something left to prove just yet. Ollie Peters, though, in his number 88, really trying to work the high line to start and gear up this opening lap. A much different line compared to everybody else, and he is certainly hoping that he gets a good race under his belt in that 88 machine. Again, running as high as possible, trying to gear up, save as much for that final lap's run that is there. The opening lap seemingly isn't going to be the quickest for most drivers because you do have to get up to speed, but that is still a 32.679, just 5 thousandths short of Ben Bennyworth, and a true difference there between the first laps and second as he runs right down to the bottom of the circuit and gives himself that room and that ability to go out there and attack the lap. Moving through then to 3 and 4, can Ollie Peters put his Crest Autosport car hopefully up ahead for him of Alfredo Morales? The battle between Apex Tracks and ALP is going to be key all season, and it's a 32.484 for Ollie, and that's good enough then for 6th position. He splits Fran Herrera and Stephen de Grevalier in terms of where he's placed. But here is Welsh Dynamite, Alex Everett, car number 2, fought for the championship last season. It's been a slow start, a lethargic start to the season, and I'm not sure he understands where he's lost the pace in comparison to some of his rivals. So can Alex Everett find a little bit of luck and a little bit of magic here today? This might be the time where it works out for him. First lap then on the board for him, and it's a 32.895, but he's got to give it his all on this second lap as he gets there just on the infield, starting to gear up for his lap, Jeremy Pronk. But now you see, coming out then of 2, you've got to pick your lane, and he just dips away from the wall, just slowly meanders to about the middle of the circuit, and then dips it down low, trying to carry as much as he can, moving through 4. And how is this lap going to look for Alex Everett, who's been doing 32.4s in practice? Over the line, that's a great lap, a 32.429. It just beats Alfredo Morales, and it's the front row so far for Alex Everett out there at the moment. But he's got to wait because he's still got 5 drivers left to go. Jeremy Pronk is the next focus, a driver who had a couple wins last season and looked incredibly quick, actually, in terms of his effort, put himself in a great position, and then the car decided over the course of the final couple of stints that it didn't want to play ball and it couldn't charge its way back through the pack. So here at Auto Club, Jeremy Pronk might just be a, I would say, sneaky pick as he gets really close there with the bottom of the track, and that is a 34.299, the opening lap. So really didn't get much going in terms of that first attempt, and really needs this second lap to gear up, because the last thing he'll want to be is near the back of the field at one of the fastest circuits out there this season. Yes, you'll have the ability to charge on through, but it'll be so easy to build gaps. It'll be so easy for a high-speed accident to occur over the course of 90 laps today. Here comes Pronk over to the line, and it's a 32.493, a thousandth quicker than the Belgian de Grevalier. So he moves into 8th fastest only with that lap. Dave Steadman, T&D Racing, is next. He had a nightmare start at Phoenix after winning the opening round of the championship, where he found himself backwards before the start-finish line. Crucially, no contact, able to keep it going, but then put it in the wall, coming out then of the pits. He's certainly hoping that he's not going to have any pit stop misdemeanors or restart misdemeanors here today in the stiflingly hot conditions. His first lap then on the board for the T&D team is a 32.668. It's good enough for 12th fastest right now, but a couple tenths of a second would be rather nice at this point in time. So he will move through and try and give himself everything possible, every opportunity to be up near the front. Car number 74 making its way through 3 and 4 and looking for a lap that can jump Diego Pereño up there at the very top of the standings. Making a run then to the line, Steadman. It's a 32.416. It's close, but it's not enough. It's 8 thousandths back. And well indeed, moves second fastest out there on circuit. Leonardo Paletta, third in the championship then. They run in reverse championship order. They will do all season long. And Paletta wants a good run then, because he has seen just how competitive it is. The top 10 all within 0.08 of a second at least at this point, and Paletta wants to join the party for ALP. Making that run then is the Venezuelan, moving through 4 and over for that first lap. How good is it going to be? It's a 32.583. That's a pretty good opener, and he'll look to try and improve by 0.2 of a second. If he can manage that, then that is pole position over Diego Pereño, the Spaniard. So can Paletta in the number 97 put the green ALP machine up there at the very front, diving down through 3 and 4? This is the chance that the 97's been hoping for. Little bit bumpy down there, but he's okay for the moment. And on that drive to the line, keeps it nice and narrow. It's a 32.460 though, and it's only good enough to go from 11th up to 8th. So Paletta's got a little bit of work to do over the course of this one. Reigning champ though is next. Thijs Barendregt. We'll be hoping that he can get a good first lap in. Qualifying has been the weak spot so far for the Basic Racing Team driver. He wants more though out of his season. He knows it's a tough season. He knows there's some incredibly quick and incredibly tough drivers out there that are going to want to try and steal his crown away. But he is someone who will fight for it every single stage of the way. And as he puts his first lap down on the board, it is a 33 flat. So it's nothing to write home about just yet. This second lap is the key. There's only one driver to go after him, and that is car 44, which has been a very synonymous number over the last 5 to 7 years with victories. Barendregt in the number 1, diving down once more, looking to find every microsecond he possibly can. Keeps it neat and narrow, unfazed by the bump on the exit of 4, and crosses the line for an exact 32.4. That will send the critics home. That is pole position for the moment, but he still has to ride one very important wave in the form of Timothy Stroh, who gears up for the first of 2 flying laps then to see if he can be a difference maker out there. This first lap won't be so much of a challenger. He's only doing 3:47 around the top side of the circuit then, here through 1 and 2 in Fontana, California, Auto Club Speedway. He'll have one more lap then to really get the most out of it, and I'm sure that Stroh will want to try and break Thijs Barendrecht's heart and take that pole position, as he has so very much done many a time over the last 2 seasons. Over that line, it's a 33.416. That's no good in his 16 car field. It's the biggest grid we've had here today for Crest Autosport since that Indianapolis 500. Oh, I would say that Indianapolis 200 that we were doing, or a 100. I'm getting that. 100. But Timothy Stroh in the 44, he knows what he's got to do. He's got to charge. He's got to fly. And he is someone who has done so time and time again. Coming out of 4, has he got enough on the clock to give himself that pole? And it's a 32.336. My, oh my, he did it by 700. That's a mega lap by car 44, who was questioning all about the fuel earlier on with one of his messages that didn't quite make it to a DM. But, oh my goodness gracious me, an important qualifying session, and I think the standards have now been set for who are the main players of the game this season. Let's take a look through qualifying as we bring ourselves to the end. And this is how everyone will stack up at Auto Club Speedway here today. It will be the 44 of Timothy Stroh, who will put himself then onto pole position then with the 32.336. He'll be joined by Thijs Barendregt then on the front row, the top 2 in the championship. Diego Pereño then will start this one from 3rd, with Dave Steadman going on in 4th position overall at this point in time. It will be then Alex Everett who will line up in 5th, with Alfredo Morales then 6th position. Not a bad qualifying from him. Nigel Stock on debut, best of the debutants then in 7th, with Inigo Mardones in 8th position for this one. Fran Herrera will start 9th, and Leonardo Paletta will round out the top 10, with Jeremy Pronk in 12th, behind Ollie Peters in 11th. Stephen de Grevelier will go from 13th, with Logan Egan, Patrick Linderboom, and Ben Bennyworth rounding out then the 16-car field. It's surprised to see Ben so far down the order, but it's not about qualifying, it's about the race. And we find ourselves now 5 minutes detached from the warm-up and how this is definitely going to be working. So, if this is going to be a case today where they find the results that they want, and it's a big championship push that brings them up to a level where they can start fighting for some really strong results, they've got to prove it today in what are really, really tough conditions out there on track. Drivers are clattering the wall here and there. Looks like Barendrecht's maybe had a scrap, Linderboom as well. And so you've got to be alert coming out of 2 and coming out of 4. 2 up the track has been one of the big kickers out there, and I think everyone knows that this is going to be a really, really tough affair with how everyone is going to be trying to drive this one as close to the wall. They're going to bring themselves as far up with the limits as they can. And for everyone who is watching today, hello and welcome. We could be in for a real treat in terms of just how much of a scrap we are going to be facing ourselves with today. So, without any further ado, how do you put yourself in the best possible position? How do you challenge yourself on a tough, hot day today to get the right placing for overtakes? Auto Club is a track where you can make moves and you can make them pretty easily around this place, but it might just be a tall order as we take a little look at Leonardo Paletta, proving the inside line is one that definitely might be one to work with here today as he races around with Inigo Mardones out there on circuit. So those two will be looking to get a bit of an understanding, and you can see, you can duck back into the draft there at that point. But then as you move on up the circuit, you're going to have to try and pick up that run as much as you can. You've only got that one element to move and commit to the corner, and you will see then that Mardones will move up to the high side, trying to find a way around, and you can see diving into the pits. It's going to be a very tough make it to the pit line here. You've got to be really off of the noisy pedal early to make that sort of run into the pits, because it is a very early yellow commitment marker here at Auto Club. If you haven't had the chance to already and you want to sign in and join in with the racing, you can head over to crestautosport.com, get yourself signed up then for remaining rounds. If you're not looking for a championship effort, you just found this place, you want to start having some battles, this may just be the place for you. So, welcome to Auto Club and some amazing racing action. There is the reigning champion, Thijs Barendregt. There is the driver who qualified the car in 3rd position, Diego Pereño, who, by every measure of metric, might just have put himself into a strong challenge today if he wants to go and make himself known and get himself the strong result that he needs. He'll have his help, of course, with his spotter, but one thing is for certain, he wants a strong result to start. And because he started here at the 3rd round of the championship, he will not have any drop rounds, quote-unquote, with 2 non-starts over the course of the season so far. So that's a bit of a spin. And up into the wall goes one driver there, not having a lovely time. That's Logan Egan, who has been in a bit of trouble. But now's the time to keep yourself in play. And with just 10 seconds remaining on the practice clock, any chance of adjusting yourself and the setups that you have available to you will cease, and chances will have to be done over the course of 90 laps then here today at the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. So, challenges accepted, opportunities needed. Auto Club. What an amazing track this will be to race. Let's take ourselves then through the grid. Timothy Stroh, 32.336 with control, and at the front with the pole position will have for company Thijs Barendregt, the reigning champion, second in the championship there in that second position outside of him. There you got Diego Pereño then in the 92. He's third for the iRacing team. His first start this season. Dave Steadman will go from fourth. Alex Everett, good bounce back in qualifying for him. He'll go from fifth, with Alfredo Morales sixth and Nigel Stock there in seventh. Inigo Mardones will line up eighth, with Fran Herrera in ninth. Leonardo Paletta rounding out the top 10. On row 6, you will have yourself Ollie Peters and Jeremy Pronk. Row 7 will be Stephen de Grevelier and Logan Egan. And the final row will see Patrick Linderboom and Ben Bennyworth prove their paces around this really, really tough circuit. High speeds are going to mean that strategy is very much one-stop territory today. They know it's over 30 seconds for a lap, and they'll be racing for there or thereabouts around an hour is the hope. Stroh has been absolutely on it since he joined the championship last season. Wasn't in contention to fight. He joined a little bit too late, but this season he's wanted it, and he has started out hot. Thijs Barendregt, not often that we see him up at the front of the field for a race, could be a huge sign of things to come in the racing, but you've got some very, very alert drivers. Pereño in the 92 won the Indy 100 last season. Steadman in the 74 certainly knows what it takes. You've got Alex Everett there, who has been a little bit off colour, and this might be his time to bounce back. Don't count out the likes of Alfredo Morales, because those ALP cars, they do often surprise in the most unsuspecting of ways. The iRacing Pace Sedan, nondescript iRacing Sedan, will be diving itself down onto pit lane. It'll be under the pace of Stroh, waiting for the green flag, and he gets the jump then on the field. We've got a green, and we're racing here at Auto Club. Already you can see Pereño underneath, trying to take it away from Thijs Barendregt, and has managed so immediately. Everett there, just back there, fourth and fifth, trying to get past Steadman. Doesn't quite work, but Barendregt gets a monster run that has to be stalled out as they charge and run for the first time on the back stretch all the way through 3 and 4, and they fan out too wide through the corners. Look up top side, because there's Dave Steadman trying to get around Barendregt, and he moves himself up to third, so not the start that the one would want out then in this race. And his old championship rival from last season also has a search down on that inside line, trying to take it away on lap 2, and is not going to be able to do it in the initial fight. But now Steadman finds himself on the outside, really jostling as well behind Mardones there, and Fran Herrera. You've got just behind them Leonardo Paletta. They're all going for it and know that this is going to be important for them off of the start. But you can see right now Steadman continues his fight out there on circuit as he holds off Barendregt. But for the lead, here comes Diego Pereño down to the inside of Timothy Stroh, and the Spaniard getting one done on the German. Then as it'll be all about the run off of the exit as they try to monitor and build a gap and break themselves away from the other two. They've done 0.6 of a second's worth of work so far. They probably would like another 8 to give them absolute security and guarantees with that scrap. But ultimately it stays as it is for the moment. Now it will be Stroh who will go down to the inside. Steadman will follow as well. So the two T&D cars both making a move then down to the inside, and both get it done through the corner. Stroh had to wait a little longer for it, but able to manage it. Can't shut the door though. Pereño again used the outside, but Steadman, looking at him, he's got those eyes on Thijs Barendregt just behind him, making that charge through 3 and 4, and nothing really doing by the context of it. Behind that as well, as the leaders battle again, Morales and Stock out there in a fight. You can see just ducking back into line. So there's a lot of work to be done. We've got one car down in the pits. That is Logan Egan, who has had himself a moment out there on track, just brushing against the wall at the back of the field. And as such, he had to pit under green to get himself some repairs out on track. There is Nigel Stock, And just behind him, the battle going on as Paletta goes through Inigo Mardones and moves up then into 9th position with that pass. It's not going to be an easy day today, and it's about staying with the cars in front. Everett struggling a little bit. You can see Leonardo Paletta is just behind Fran Herrera. There is Everett in the number 2 machine. And my word, do they push high up out of 2. Trying to get that run. Almost contact with the wall there behind for the 85 of Fran Herrera. He's got to be careful he's not clipping against that wall too often, because he will damage the suspension and potentially just tear a wheel off the car. Such are the high speeds around this place today. But Everett under pressure as Alfredo Morales now looking up high, as we just seen the front of shop. Pronk as well having his own race as he looks to try and deal with Ben Bennyworth, who started from the back of the field today in 16th. He's up 4 spots at this point and is certainly getting some good work done. Morales way down low as he tries to pick one up on Alex Everett, who will have the more natural line through the corner to pick it up off of the exit. And he'll do so and hold on to the position for the time being. Currently, it's Diego Pereño who leads this race. Stroh in 2nd. Stedman finding himself then in 3rd, and side by side through 1 for Fran Herrera and Inigo Mardones, with Ben Bennyworth just behind. Fran really getting a good run there, coming out of 2. And in the wall goes Bennyworth then, as he felt a little bit squeezed, but I don't think he left himself enough room. As down low now will be Pronk. Down low will also be Peters. And they both want to try and make the move and not lose the draft. And again, it goes too wide. And you've got to try and find the right angle to make that opportunity happen. Just not there as Peters starts to dive low, almost 3 wide as they go through 1 and 2. And there'll be some washing up, and in the wall behind goes De Grevelier. So De Grevelier finds himself in a bit of trouble. He starts to work the wheel as well, see if he's got any damage. But we stay green here from Auto Club Speedway in Fontana. Mardones holding on to position and doing so rather nicely. The front 4 have broken away by a tune of about 0.8 of a second from Alex Everett. Thijs Barendregt on the back of it in 4th place. Stedman gets a really good run in comparison to his teammate Stroh. He'll go down low side searching for the position, and he will get the move done. So Mark Dave Stedman then in the number 74, up then into 3rd position, a podium position at this point. But now you could say, well, 2nd, he'll now drop back to 3rd, because the 2 teammates will now start trading those places about, trying to get as much draft as they can and move on through the field. Paletta even has got through on Morales, and now is trying to eye up some moves as you got these groups start to form back together potentially. Stedman losing out on the run. Thijs Barendregt back through, jumps up into 3rd, but you still have there on the low side Paletta just behind. You can see it there running up the track. Just how important this deal is going to be for this race. Paletta just can't get the run, backs out of it then as the run into 1 comes in again. Once more running into that low line, and will be skewing himself up the circuit, looking for as much as he can. Stedman has to get out of it as he nearly clobbers into the wall, and Alex Everett now comes into play. He'll move down to the inside, but take it away in these hot and stifling conditions. De Grevelier's also had to come in, by the way, and make a stop for his fast repair. But I can tell you what, look at how close you want to go, tyre to tyre, through then the start-finish line and in towards turn number 1. Those 2 not leaving a lick of paint between them. Having to heavily check up, though, was Dave Stedman, and they can see De Grevelier coming off of the pits then just in front of them. So that'll be a bit of traffic that they'll have to deal with now. And Paletta will start to dive down the inside of Dave Stedman, come up and block the pass, and is able to manage to make it happen. So mark him up another place then here at Auto Club. Still, Pereño, Stroh and Barendregt are the top 3 at this point in time. Stedman then back in 6th position, last place he'd really want to be, in all honesty, with the way this race is going. But here comes Barendregt then. He's moving to the outside in his fight for 2nd. Trying to go the long way on lap 14 of the race. And the long way suffices as he takes the position away and moves back up into second. Everett trying to chase down the group and has managed it. Caution. Caution comes out then at Auto Club. It is for Ollie Peters, who has found himself battered and bruised in the outside wall. Lost it in on entry in towards turn 3. And then absolutely could not keep it out of trouble. He did so well to keep that car pointing straight, but grabbed the grass on the apron and then found himself spearing up into the wall. And my word, I believe that was Patrick Linderboom, who very much just managed to avoid Ollie Peters, who has been able to drive it into the pits of his own accord. The first caution comes out then after 15 laps, and Diego Pereño has himself control here in the Crest Autosport IndyCar Series. Well, a hectic start, that much we cannot deny in terms of such an important opening stage to this race. About 1/6 of the race already scored in the books then with that effort going through. And the question will now start to become if any drivers want to dive in and give up the track position that they've got to make a pit stop out there on track. It would give them a lot of opportunities out there to make something happen, but again, it will be a case of we will see. I've just had a look at Ollie Peters here do a million-point turn. He hasn't got any steering on the car, and this is a really important replay here because he's trying to ride up against the pit wall where all the crews are. He's just found the break in the wall, and effectively he's trying a million-point turn. He's trying to go backwards down the pits right now. Ollie Peters is having a time of it here, trying to get that car into his box. He's got to be careful here about going backwards too much here. Otherwise, he is going to get himself disqualified. But that car is trying everything to get into the pit. And I tell you what, he might be actually trouble here down on the lane because drivers are all diving in. Pereño, Barendregt, Stroh, Everett, Logan Egan stays out for his lap. So everyone's in. Question's going to be whether Ollie Peters took a tow or not to get into his box. The answer was yes, and he did so actually in such a way that he's actually going to have to wait an entire lap because he'd gone past his pit box as he went on forward. So, tyres, fuel, get yourself back out again. And who's going to win the sweepstakes off of the pits is the question. And the answer is Diego Pereño, no doubts about it. Stroh leapfrogging Barendregt then in the stop. Leonardo Paletta couldn't quite get what was wanted down, but that was a little bit of craziness, really. Ollie Peters having a moment, and a big moment at that as well. So, Timothy Stroh now into second position. Diego Pereño maintaining the lead. Logan Egan and Stephen de Grevalier staying out will get their lap back. So, by staying out, not needing to make that stop because they had to stop for their fast repair, they haven't actually lost any time here in this race. And that is massive for the context of what they need to do over the course of 90 laps worth of racing. And what is also crucial is that we are on a hard counter as well. An hour and 25 minutes is the maximum length a race like this is able to go. Otherwise, then we will be time certain. And nobody likes a time certain race. This isn't an enduro. And I'm sure that these drivers will be looking at each other and going, let's keep it clean. That was a good first stint. Let's try it again out there on track. So, looking then at the pace car, the lights go off. They will wave around both Stephen de Grevalier and Logan Egan to get back onto the leading group as quickly as they possibly can. And it does mean that we are going back to green flag running on lap 19 of 90 here at Auto Club with the Necchi Racing Team driver Diego Pereño out there on the front of the field. Timothy Stroh is second, Thijs Barendregt currently in third, and Alex Everett in fourth position as things stand at the moment. So a lot to keep in mind then on this restart. It is a single file restart, which is worth keeping in mind as well. The difference between a normal race start is that a race start is double file. This is single file, and the only way you can overtake is around the outside for the stripe of the start-finish line. But Pereño has himself the opportunity today to really make something happen and to state an intention that even though he's missed the first 2 rounds, he'll want to make a championship push. And it might be that the Necky Racing team do have themselves a driver where they can go and win this series. But he's got to prove it over the next 75 laps, or now down to almost 70 laps of racing. Pace car dives down into the lane. Diego Pereño will have control, and he launches. We've got a green, and we're back underway here at Auto Club. Already Alex Everett all over Thijs Barendregt here, and dipping low, trying to take it away from the Dutchman. Can he get it on the ride back up the circuit? Barendregt just able to carry more speed with that, and ultimately able to hold that position and keep that place nicely checked up as they go through 3 and 4. We've also got the battle between Ben Bennyworth and Jeremy Pronk way down the order here. You can see Bennyworth was searching up on the high side of Pronk. Not close enough to really make anything happen, but going to drive it through then over the stripe and looking on the outside line. It's covered off. The high line certainly being a cover spot out there, and on for the lead and a change for the lead because that is Stroh, and the finest margins between them as manufacturing the gap. Diego Pereño trying to work the high line and trying to make it happen. They can't afford to be racing that close, that hard, this early here at Auto Club. Dives back down underneath, searching for the opportunity, and he's going to get it back again. So Pereño's Necky car makes sure that he puts himself on top. They've allowed Barendregt now into the party in third position as they rush on up and try and get as much they can out of it. They can see the group 4th and 5th. Everett dealing with Paletta, who goes underneath then the Crest Autosport, the Apex Tracks car, and they can see move done. Paletta up into 4th for ALP, and that could be a crucial move for the constructors and the team's championship. So here comes the look back up again then by Everett, and a look from Stroh as well. Ducks down low. Wasn't enough room up top. The leaders are starting to scrap again here around turns 1 and 2. They'll come up the top of the circuit, not able to get it clear, so the Spaniard will be able to fight on the outside of 3 and 4, and I tell you what, it is getting close between those two. And Barendregt with the best box seat in the house. I think he knows. Don't get too close. There might be a huge one on the horizon if they're not careful. But Barendregt with the mega run is going to go to the outside to try and figure off if he can get it done. Blocking both lanes into one goes Pereño. Absolutely perfect car placement. The use of the spotter is certainly giving that help. But again, it is now Barendrecht's turn at this point in time. Everett then clobbering or getting close to clobbering the wall there on the outside. He might have actually had a bit of a tap as he went through. It was mighty close to the wall, but he's okay. And Pereño still with control at the front. You've got battles going on everywhere on circuit. Mardones and Herrera we just had a look at, but Barendrecht's down low. And Thijs Barendregt now puts himself at the front of this race. Remember, there are bonus points, and there's a bonus point for the most laps led here in this race. Timothy Stroh, the championship leader, already has a bonus point for the pole position lap, but Paletta again on the outside. They're allowing Steadman in, and I've just seen Pereño jump back to the race lead. So another change done. Pereño down low then on 4, has been able to pick that one up once again. Barendregt picks it up. Are we going 3 wide? Because here comes Stroh on the high side, trying to get himself a run. He's not going to get there. Pereño sticks really low, trying to get the drive up the hill, and he's not quite got it. Behind that as well, Steadman was having a look. Stroh now goes low, trying to figure this out. This is some intense battling here at Auto Club. Anything is possible, but Barendregt is able to hold the line and give himself the room that he very much needs, and they will fight to the line once again. Margin over it was 0.03 of a second as they crossed, and catch your breath, why don't you? Pereño around the outside puts himself back to the point again at Auto Club. I tell you what, how these three haven't been swamped by the cars behind is a minor miracle. As Stroh looks for a search around the outside then of Thijs Barendregt, who has to yield and give it away. as it's Pereño, Stroh, Barendregt once again here from Auto Club. Paletta is fourth, Everett fifth, Steadman giving chase in sixth as we look again at Stroh on the high side. Not quite in a position to make something happen. Worth keeping an eye, though, on Jeremy Pronk. He's got a good run here, as Stroh also has a good run. Pronk trying to get past Ben Bennyworth, who's gone up half the field so far from 16th all the way to 8th position, and now back to 9th as Pronk gets the up and under, makes the pass and secures the place. Side by side for the lead, though, as Stroh try to work the high line to an absolute finite conclusion, and he still has to fight it off at the exit of the corner. Gets a much better run, though, on that outside line, using the banking as a slingshot. He now puts himself back once again. Oh, in the race lead, getting as tight as you want. Back down, and I'm sure Pereño would have breathed a heavy sigh of relief that his car's still in the piece there with just how close those two were running. Side by side further back, though, Pronk, Bennyworth, Nigel Stock getting in on the action as well as they go into 1 and 2. Bennyworth's going to understeer in the dirty air. Stock could be able to run down low. He's not going to quite get there, though, here on lap 29 here of this race. You've got Ollie Peters still in this one, 2 laps down, 1 lap down to Grevalier. Stock goes back to the low line, you could say the stock line at this point, as he travels up the track. Nigel Stock isn't going to get himself what he wants, but Bennyworth now will have eyes on Pronk, and we've got more side-by-side battling for the race lead once again. So it's on everywhere here, but Diego Pereño is not able to outlast and outrun Timothy Stroh. He's able to get it once again in a pretty convincing fashion with that overtake. You look behind and you see you've got Barendregt there, and they're trying to stay in a line. Bennyworth has absolutely monstered forward over that run he got at slingshot, because he's managed to start fighting with Alfredo Morales, who I'm not sure was quite prepared for it really here. The scrap for 7th is still ongoing, and this is happening about 1.3. Oh, in the wall! Jeremy Pronk clatters into the wall, coming out of 2. We stay green here at Auto Club as he funnels down towards the bottom of the circuit. I think that's his pit stop here on lap 31, and it's going to be early for him to get to the end of this race. He will dive into the pits. That was a heavy hit from Pronk, and he is fortunate he's still got a car in this race. There is Stroh, though, holding off then Pereño as he effectively makes the pass for the lead there, as they made the strike and made the move. You got Barendregt there with the Basic Racing team in 3rd, Paletta in 4th. They are not out of it by any stretch. They run through 3 on lap 32, over a third of the way through this race. Fran Herrera starts to make some moves as well as he races with Stock out there for what is 9th and 10th positions. But again, Pereño diving down low, trying to take this one away. And he's not got a guarantee just yet. He has to sit back in the draft and wait and be patient. And there's troubles for Morales coming out at 2 now. He also clatters the wall as he fought with Ben Bennyworth, and he'll also have to dive in. And it gets dicey around the top as Herrera and Mardonis' battle very nearly ends in tears. And they manage to get through. Crucially, Morales doesn't have damage to the car. He'll continue on, but he's a little bit fortunate with the way that he clattered against the wall. Again, it's Pereño who has moved to the point, and all of this constant battling, a big cut back down. And Stroh started to actually pin Diego Pereño up top. There is a case to be made that these drivers are not going to give each other much room now. And Barendregt is back in the mix. He's taken a good 5 to 10 laps to just chill out, allow those two to have their own run. And now we've got a race here as Pereño will search low, trying to steal this one away. And you feel it could be a slingshot, really, from Barendregt, which starts to push the boat out. They will have to make a stop at some point because they are running at such high speeds and such quick speed here in the spring to summer sun. Track is cooling ever so slightly, though. And as they exit out of 4, once again, here comes Pereño, and getting mighty close to it. There, the German and the Spaniard gets the overlap sorted and moves ahead with the race lead once again as Stroh has to really back out of it in the dirty air. Barendregt unable to capitalise. Top 6 looking good. Behind, though, Ollie Peters with fresh tyres trying to unlap his gauntlet to get back to 1 lap down. There's Stroh, again moving up high, and that allows Barendregt down low to try and steal second away. Number 1, the reigning champion, on the inside, heading into turn 1. He's not going to get the drive he wants, though. Off of the exit, Stroh is a lot better, and he's covered it off and will use the draft well. 6-pack challenge at the front as Paletta, Everett, and Steadman all close in. Here comes the move, then, from one Mr. Timothy Stroh, and he gets it done. Now would be the sort of time to start thinking about pit stops, and when's the right time to dive down in on your strategy and to get an undercut in comparison to your rivals. Pereño moving once more, well up the circuit they both go. And they fight each other off the exit as well. Stroh is giving absolutely everything. This is an elite battle for the race lead, and it's been going on since the drop of that green flag to get things going again. Again, they continue to fight. And on top of it, Paletta in 4th is starting to stamp down and say, Thijs, your 3rd place may not be safe. Pereño starting to get himself on that inside, and some big power moves about to come into play because look who's joined the party. Paletta wants in here, and his fight with Barendregt. Suddenly he's got the tone. We're defending like it's a serpentine. Barendregt back into 4th. Paletta puts the ALP car up into 3rd. What a great scrap this is. You got Everett and Steadman and a big 3-wide battle going on. Bennyworth, Stock, and the lap down Ollie Peters. Then as they go through the tri-oval, back down to 2 wide, they will go. And it is Nigel Stock who is on the front of this second group and is able to hold it just for the briefest of moments as Bennyworth will try and get his money's worth. And he certainly will. Peters will also try and follow on through. What a great race we're having. Steadman goes down the inside of Alex Everett and runs a bit high. Almost clips the wall there, does Dave. And is able to hold it together on what is a very difficult day today in terms of racing, in terms of giving what you can. Lap 41 of 90. Up the track, in the wall, goes Paletta. And he'll lose the place then to Barendregt. Oh, we talk about margins. You start pushing a little bit too hard and you're going to kill your run. And Paletta's got to do the work again if he doesn't have damage, and he's fortunate because he doesn't. They will have those fast repairs. There is a car in trouble in the pits now. It's Patrick Lindeboom who is effectively in trouble. He found himself with a very heavy hit coming out of 2. And they can see Paletta really in this here. And he's trying to keep himself in play with Dave Steadman. Steadman running around the outside. Roaring and running around the outside, getting it done. But all of a sudden, with all of those battles that have gone on, the top 2 have broken away to the tune of a second. Pereño and Stroh racing amongst each other right now for the victory here at Auto Club Speedway. The Fontana race is proving very much a spectacle to keep in mind, as you can see out there on circuit. In the pit, well, out of the pits now will come Lindeboom. There is someone else diving into the pits. It's Ollie Peters right now. But there is Stroh trying to defend here against Pereño, going around the outside. Not quite happening just yet, but I think we're just about to start the pit stop window. Nigel Stock still in his race, and in the pits comes Leonardo Paletta on lap 43 of 90. And there's a caution. Oh, what a time for a caution. It's Logan Egan who was coming down into the pits then, who has had a big moment as he was trying to get himself on the apron. So here's how it happened. He got down low, but migrated back up the circuit, carrying too much speed on that apron. And effectively the back stepped out, and he performed 2 or 3 different pirouettes. And the caution flag here at Auto Club comes out for the second time right before a stopping period. I'd expect everybody to dive down in, and it might be a 45-lap shootout between now and the end of this race. Paletta's pit stop then, I'd say, coming just at the right time for him, because with the way that he's made his stop, he'll be able to make his way around the circuit and hopefully get himself back in line. But I think he is the right side of the safety car, he is. And as such, he'll be back on the lead lap. And I think he may have just pulled out a bit of tactical genius to move himself net into the race lead here from this circuit. He'll have to run hard and get himself through. He can't overtake, of course, the driver in 11th, Logan Egan. So be hoping that Egan does hurry up by the time that the leaders get themselves through 4 and run through the pits. So that is an option, and we will see who's diving into the pits and who is not out there of the field. I expect everyone to jump in at this point in time, and on cue, everyone decides it's my time to make a stop. De Grevelier is going to stay out, try and get his lap back. So too is Jeremy Pronk, and ultimately, Logan Egan diving into the pits. Paletta's not having much fun with this at this point in time because Egan is so slow on that line, and this might be playing into the hands of those drivers as Egan will dive into the pits then at long last. Paletta gets the hurry up, and he's got to absolutely go before anyone else goes off of the jacks. And the answer he's going to get as he moves on forward is he's going to take the lead. Everett with a good pit stop as well. He jumps actually in the stop quite nicely there and gets past Dave Steadman. So some good stops. Bennyworth and Stock there are certainly doing well with their pit stops. And we'll get ourselves all the runs possible with your new race leader out there on circuit being Leonardo Paletta here in this race. So a lot to ponder, a lot to think about, and a lot then in this opening half of the race. 2 cautions, but drivers are going to get more and more dicey, more strong with the way that they try and make those moves. And I expect this to be a really entertaining finish to Auto Club Speedway. And just how incredible this is going to be. So, for all of you watching, anything is very much possible. And there is your race leader, Leonardo Paletta, who, after clashing with the wall, is able to find himself then with a chance to make something happen from the front of the field. Lights should be coming off then on the iRacing sedan safety car. And the lap traffic then will get their laps back. And they will be Peters, Linderboom and Jeremy Pronk out there on circuit. They will move back around and gain those opportunities. Paletta, Stroh, Barendregt, Pareño, Alex Everett, your top 5 as things stand. Just over the halfway distance, and still a tough race left to go, with everybody pretty much dicing it with the devil. And they know that it's a tough track today to make it all work. Still at 47 degrees, the wind from the south constant, 24 kilometers an hour. Means it's a blustery one. And if you can survive the winds, you can survive the racing, you can survive all the battles that you got out there, there are chances. You look down the field, the likes of Fran Herrera in 10th, Logan Egan in 12th. Pronk will now be on the back of the line in 13th position, having had to have pitted under green to get back where he needed to. Paletta now knows he's got control of the field as he runs around through 3 and 4. And in through 4 right now. What can he do with his first laps on the front of the pack? He was moving up to challenge, and he's in a position now, first time since Motegi, where he's led a race here in the Crest Autosport IndyCar Series. Pace cars dived off, green flags back in the air. We're underway once again for the 3rd time at Auto Club Speedway Fontana. Great start by Leonardo Paletta. It's a good solid start everywhere in the field. Already Stock and Bennyworth going too wide through 1 and 2. And the work being done. And it's pretty much too wide. Some Noah's Ark sim racing through the middle of the pack. They will continue between those two, Bennyworth and Stroh, as they go through the left. All left, of course, of 3 and 4. Trying to run the banking high is Ben Bennyworth. He's been loving to do that, and he is doing well. Stroh, though, now has your race lead out there. He's taking it away. Everett fighting hard for 4th with Diego Pereño, who is on that high side and not quite able just yet to pin it down and make it happen. But Barendregt, so slow, coming out of 2. Was scared of hitting the wall, and he'll drop a place for it. So already you're seeing just the difficulties that this circuit brings to everybody as they understeer and deal with copious amounts of it. Bennyworth now looking at Fran Herrera in this fight too. So that second pack really is forming some great racing here as they duck down through 1 and 2 once again. 2 on the high line, 1 on the bottom being Fran Herrera. And then just in front, you can see the pushing going on. Pereño through on Paletta. Had to, in order to stay in range with Stroh, who's about 0.8 of a second clear at the front. Barendregt holds up Everett, gets a monster run through 4. And we'll use this now to challenge Paletta here. Moves on the high side. And whatever pace Paletta has, I think it comes in following more than it does in out-and-out speed. It's not often that we see a slow-starting Venezuelan machine like ALP Motorsports. But Barendregt now up into 3rd. The chase back on again here on lap 51 out of 90. Some good work being done through the field as Jeremy Pronk rides high and takes a place away from Inigo Mardones. The gap down now to just 0.6 of a second at the front. Pronk still having to kind of defend. Just in front of that, though, Stock again goes low. And his work in the fight for 7th has been a real confidence booster, I think, on his first start in the series. He's pulled off some good moves. Hasn't necessarily gone up too many places, but he's kept himself steady in that mid-pack. And it's not often that you hear that from some really good and really accomplished drivers here at this Auto Club Speedway. But again, it'll be another lap of waiting, and Paletta now starting to find his groove. Will go low on Thijs Barendregt. So got some battling. Stock and Bennyworth continuing on. But Paletta gets the overlap, but can't quite push it to where it needs to be just yet. Moving in through 3 and 4. Barendregt now 0.8 of a second away from Diego Pereño, who is chasing down the group as he fights hard with Leonardo Paletta. Again, looking to try and find the right angle to do it. Is it going to be high or is it going to be low? He's got Everett closing it in. He's just happy to wait for the moment, which is not the end of the world. It's about a second now. And well, Welsh Dynamite searching for an explosive move that will put him up into 4th. It's not quite there just yet, but we are still a number of laps away from the end of this one. Patrick Linderboom 4 laps down. Ollie Peters pretty much out, as well as De Grevelier. All of them, their race is pretty much done. De Grevelier's race done with contact going through. In fact, it was contact between De Grevelier and Peters that put both of them out. That was why you saw a nose cone being absolutely clattered. They both hit the wall on the outside, stayed there, no caution thrown. So that's not ideal, as there's Alex Everett still trying to give chase out there on circuit. So that's going to be worth keeping your eye out on then, in terms of the scrap going on 4th, 5th and 6th, because Dave Steadman is back with the group and the work is being done again. So let's try and see if we can get a look here at what happened here between Peters and De Grevelier. De Grevelier here in the 603 Autosport car just runs up the circuit. Ollie just chases himself down into a pavement. He would have been entitled to the room, but De Grevelier struggling there with understeer. And both their races come to a disappointing end then today here at Auto Club. 13 runners still in this race. Linderboom is the only other driver then out. And out with some very heavy damage, of course, here in this race. And he was now 6 laps down in this one. So his day was a very frustrating one. All on his own at the back of the field. Put it in the wall. And that was his day done. But still, the chase on. Barendregt in 4th. trying to stay here with Leonardo Paletta, who is trying to stay with Diego Pereño as best he possibly can. This is a really strong race. And crucially, Bennyworth and Stock, for the first time, are actually staying on to this leading group and giving this leading group a couple of headaches, potentially. This is not the easy race that we're finding. And if you are going to put yourself in the best possible position, you're going to have to try and make this race all about one at a time. Steadman starting to search now on Alex Everett to move up into 5th position. Be on the bottom going through 3. Never easy as he just migrates up the track. Can't get the run that he wants. And has to settle back into line once again. Half a second, the gap at the front between Timothy Stroh and Diego Pereño. And up high now against Dave Steadman goes Ben Bennyworth, searching for a run off of the exit. He won't get it. But this run's pretty good. And the chance is there. But he can't quite get there. Steadman has to go high. And that bit of indecision there brings Bennyworth around the outside. And up into 6th. What a race he's having from the back of the field. He's picking them off one at a time. And it is showing just how good the running is at this moment. Still, though, you say they can't afford to battle too hard and lose the draft from the group in front. It's a very easy game to put yourself in a little bit of trouble out there in a race like this. This is not an easy race, not by any stretch of the imagination, but you'd have to say Steadman doing okay despite that mistake. Everett remains in 5th, but the leading 2, you see it there on your screen, about 3.5. Out of the race now, Alfredo Morales joins the list of drivers whose race is done. Someone's found the wall as well in the infield, so there are a couple of incidents that have gone on. Morales' race done as he slammed into the wall. Looks like Logan Egan as well has had another moment. So Morales grabs the wall. So let's get a replay and see of everything that's been happening then. So Morales' day is done. You can see just the tail end of it there. Grabbed the wall through 2, and that was just understeer at the wrong time. Now, the next key is what happened to Logan Egan then, as he had himself a huge issues. There is Stroh leading. The answer for Logan Egan was he grabbed the apron, or lost the car on entry, grabbed the apron, tried to keep the car down low, and basically just threw it in the wall. So his day, just about as much done as well. Stroh, though, still dealing with Pereño. You can see there that gap, about 1/4 of a second, 3/10, 1/3 of a second. But long pace run, Paletta's pulling these guys back in. This isn't going to be a straight shootout, and he very nearly found himself in trouble. Now, Jeremy Pronk is out of this race now. So this Auto Club circuit is really starting to take drivers here time and time again. Pronk grabbing the wall out, I think, through 3 there and coming into the pits, and his day done on what has been a tough circuit for racing. Still, though, we are green, lap 64 here of 90, and these tyres are going to get second-hand pretty quickly. And it looks like Stock as well in trouble, and his race may as well be done. So Nigel Stock making contact with Fran Herrera coming out of 2. Let's get a replay of it. And he didn't even make contact. He just lost the back end coming out, and he has an almighty whack with the tyres. Because it happens on the infield, we stay green. You can see he just loses the back end in the dirty air. Smashes it hard into those tyres. And that is a heavy accident there for Nigel Stock, and a shame for what had been a good race for him in this one. Trouble with traffic now for the leaders as De Gravelier says, hey, please go low on me, go low. And Timothy Stroh makes his way around. Pereño will be next to it. We're down to just 9 runners now in this race with a smattering of incidents out there on track. And you've still got Bennyworth, you've still got Steadman fighting, you've still got those drivers coming in. Barendregt has got through on Paletta after he almost clattered into the wall a few laps ago. Everything kicking off at Auto Club Fontana, and the concentration levels are sky high at this moment. In 8th and 9th, you've got Fran Herrera and Inigo Mardones. There is Ben Bennyworth trying to get around Dave Steadman, who runs that high line, gives himself enough room to attack down then through 4. But again, here comes Bennyworth. Oh, he tried to shuffle him down. There'll be 3 wide over the stripe. But back on the outside, Ben Bennyworth will go. And he's not quite finding what he needs to here on that outside. Patience then is the name of the game. He can't quite get the move done. And he has to stay there and stay in range. 7 tenths now, the gap at the front. Barendregt and Paletta are there and hopeful in 3rd and 4th. It's going to be a tough race for them, especially when they will enter the final 20 or so laps of this race, knowing that this one is far from complete. If they can just find a couple tenths, then life will be easier. De Grevelier is still going, by the way, so we still actually technically have 10 runners. Grevelier just 6 laps down and trying to pick up some points here at this moment. Everett started to close back in the number 2 machine. This is the sort of drive he needs. Just pick up that time late on in the run. Give himself some room. Give himself some attack. Bennyworth still ahead of Dave Steadman, 6th and 7th. Steadman struggled a little bit today after a good, solid qualifying. But at least right now, you've also got Logan Egan out there. Gets back out on track then. Trying to salvage what he can. There are points to be had. You can just see in the background again, Steadman getting close, but our full focus is Everett. There as we just check back at the wrong time because Everett goes side by side up the high side of the circuit. Has he got enough? Not yet, but he'll pick up a good run through the final sector. Will he go high? Will he go low? He'll go high. And a little wiggle on entry. He tries to pick it off. But again, he needs that run off the exit once again. And he does get it, and he'll move down low. All the way through this overtake. Everett's been patient for it. It's taken him a couple laps, but he's been able to make it mastered. We do have ourselves now 20 laps to go here from Auto Club. Your pole sitter currently leading by 9 tenths of a second. Timothy Stroh is doing more than enough with his strategy. Suddenly, Paletta in trouble. Oh, how has he not lost it and kept himself in the battle? Everett there saw Paletta riding up the circuit and the back end stepping out for the green machine. And ultimately, he's able to keep it. Still in that fight, though. And all of a sudden, Pereño's dropped back and lost nearly half a second on this lap. So Pereño really struggled there. And it's a lot through 2 where the struggle was. And now Thijs Barendregt wants second. The fight's still going on behind as through goes Paletta. Up into 4th place. But now they've got Ben Bennyworth on the back, who's had a wonderful race today. And Barendregt through and in the pits. In the pits will have to go Diego Pereño on lap 72. This is an undercut. And if everyone's got to pit one more time, this is a fuel-intensive circuit. If Pereño's trying to undercut everyone, it's going to work. 3 wide on the top, though. Look at this. Paletta, Everett, and Ben Bennyworth around them all. He moves up to 3rd. God, power move. What a power move by Ben Bennyworth, who has been working the high side all day long. Everett had nothing. In comes Paletta. In comes Everett. They need to cover some moves, and they have got to get themselves into position here. This is an important phase of the race, and Stroh now has to really work because he's given 2 laps out there to one driver in particular, Diego Pereño, who's just come out of the pit and will come out of the pit with Logan Egan just in front. So it's going to be awkward here on this one going through. Inigo Mardones gets on the radio and says, I'm diving in, and he too will dive into the pits with Bennyworth and with Barendregt. And that's going to be key. And it's a battle off the exit here because you've got Paletta and Everett here. They're going to fight on what is a very, very short apron here. This is going to be an awkward one. And merging into the traffic, Everett, sneaky as you like, is going to take it away. And crucially, Pereño's going to go by both of them. That was to be expected. Logan Egan nearly takes them all out. He clatters into the wall. And we stay green because it's in the infield. Oh, my goodness me. Logan Egan nearly caused a massive accident there. But Stroh still staying out. Still doing what he needs. Steadman's still staying out there as well. So too, Fran Herrera, who is there in third position. You'd feel at this point in time, we've got a real race on our hands. Bennyworth has made his stop. Is he going to come out and away ahead of these drivers? No, he's lost out on the undercut. Here comes Paletta now making a move. You'd say if Stroh needs to pit, then he can be in a bit of jeopardy at this point with Pereño. Barendregt has leapfrogged Pereño though in the stops. And that's crucial. It's a race against Barendregt at this point in time. Herrera's got a lap. Steadman's got a lap. Stroh's got a lap on the rest of the field. They've got to play the fuel game from here because they're choosing to stay out. And this might be a case of the T&D drivers trying something where everyone else can't. Everett continues his scrap with Paletta. There is Steadman in second. Still staying out. Still got that race to go. It is so close to the end now. Everett on the high side in the fight for what is 6th position. He's got it at the moment, but for how much longer is the question. Bennyworth now behind them, and into the pits comes Fran Herrera, who could not go any longer. So that will put him shuffle back through the pack, and this makes it the fight for 5th on the road at this point in time. Everett still ahead then of Paletta in terms of that scrap. In comes race leader Timothy Stroh. Couldn't make the fuel last. It'll be down to Dave Steadman here. Lap 78 of 90. Stroh will have a tyre advantage in comparison to his competitors. But there is Leonardo Paletta and Alex Everett continuing their scrap through 1 and 2. They know they're losing ground to those in front. Herrera here is going to come out of the pits. And he's just going to be behind this group here. So great work by Fran over the course of that stop. He keeps himself in play with what is some work. There'll be a splash and dash. Where is Stroh? Just leaving the pits right now. Where will Stroh be in comparison? It stays too wide in this battle on screen. Everett then going through. Stroh spun it! Stroh spun it on the exit! Oh my goodness! The cardinal sin! The cardinal sin from Timothy Stroh! Oh, he put the power down too early. He's thrown the race away. And that is one he will definitely want back. Dave Steadman, it's on you. Thijs Barendregt may have got a golden ticket to a victory here, but now you still have the battles that are going on. What will Car 74 do? He's on lap 81 going to, and if he can find himself a way to go down to the lowest fuel mixture, he might have a way to win this race. Doing 32.8, he's a lot slower than rivals around, but crucially, they've all got around the traffic. Pereño is going to be started to be reeled in here in the fight for 3rd position right now. Everett is absolutely motoring against the Spaniard and took out about 0.7 of a second on that last lap. Oh, it all comes down to whether strategy plays itself apart. Stroh, by the way, is back in 8th position. Ben Bennyworth in 7th. Herrera in 6th. And now this race is on a dicey descent. Everett right underneath Pereño. Can't get the run. But Pereño here, I think, underfueled the car for position. Didn't quite get it done. And is just trying to bring himself home. Here comes Everett. Back down low side again. And he's going to pick it up. He's going to move through. He's going to get what he wants. And he's going to get what he needs, which is another position gain. Lap 83 then for your leaders. But Pereño is not giving this one up. He stays on that low side and he wants a scrap and he wants a fight. And Everett here is going to have to yield that one initially because he can't get it done. But he's going to try up and under then on the Necky Racing Team car. And it is going to work here. He is going to get it done. Fran Herrera in trouble. He is spinning in the infield. So Herrera's had a moment. He spun it off the wall, coming through 2. Spun it again through 4, because again, it's on the infield. We stay green, Auto Club. Pereño again is going to go for it here. And how close do you want to get as they go through? It's still going to be a case of Pereño holding on. Steadman still yet to decide to make that stop. He's done so well to go so far. But they've also got to look at that fight for third at Leonardo Paletta. Everett ducks low, almost grabs some apron. Door being firmly shut by the Spaniard. Pereño leaving it to the last seconds to make that stop. All the while, Barendregt will be able to say he's got at least second in this race. Barring unless something happens. Everett back underneath then on his 84th lap. He gets it done. Has to leave the room because Pereño was searching for it on the outside. And tyre to tyre into 3. Goodness me, this is incredible stuff. Absolutely incredible. And they know they are dancing on a knife edge. Oh, they come together. Both of them go off into the infield. Everett hard into the wall. So too goes Diego Pereño. And we are somehow green. The wheel off for Alex Everett. And Dave Steadman right now knows he's on lap 86. If a caution comes out now, the race is over. And it's still green. But I think he's going to have to dive for the pits. And he does. Steadman couldn't go. Oh, how desperately Dave Steadman needed a caution there. And he doesn't get it after the hugest of huge hits between Everett and Pereño on what was a huge moment in the race. Now it's down to Barendregt here and whether he can get himself back around and ahead to get himself between now and a race victory for car number 1. Leonardo Paletta third at the moment. Bennyworth in 4th. Stroh is down in 5th position here as well. And you'd say Dave Steadman, he's got work to do. And a lot of work to do as he needs to get off of the pits. PD in Q. He does now. But here comes Barendregt through then turn number 1 into the lead. Paletta in 2nd. Steadman now at least 3rd. And just 3 laps remain for Thijs Barendregt to pick up a massive victory that will take him to the lead of the championship. Stroh, by the way, by comparison, is back in 5th position now after the dramas that had happened for those drivers. It has been a crazy finish on a crazy day where retirees are absolutely everywhere at this point. Everett able to get it back out again in 6th position. But now for Thijs Barendregt, he'll have 2 laps and 3.6 seconds of margin over Leonardo Paletta. A further 6 seconds back to Dave Steadman. It has been a crazy day of racing. It's worth noting as well that Nigel Stock managed to use that spare car. He's got himself in 7th. Inigo Mardones right now in 6th position. So that certainly has helped things out there on circuit for them and their run. But what a day this has proven to be. This has been the sort of day that you look back and say there were a lot of drivers pushing and a lot of drivers trying to get themselves the result they want. The conditions were so tough, and that's why we have such a high attrition rate today here at Auto Club as the white flag lap starts for Thijs Barendregt in car number 1. You couldn't have predicted such a crazy end to a race like this where everyone found themselves in trouble. Dave Steadman needed a caution. Timothy Stroh needed not to spin coming out of the pits. For Thijs Barendregt, he runs through 3. And this will be such a sweet victory for car number 1 because it will be the championship lead and Thijs Barendregt wins it in Fontana. Leonardo Paletta will cross 2nd. Dave Steadman will take 3rd. And give a shout out to this guy in 4th who started dead last in the field and has just put one of the great drives together to put a 4th place at the end of the line. What fantastic work that has been done by Ben Bennyworth there. Stroh, of course, will take 5th. But oh my goodness me, that was a crazy race. A lot of drivers finding themselves with so much trouble here today. And what an incredible bit of battling we had seen at Fontana. Let's jump ourselves over then to the official classified results then from Auto Club Speedway. It is Thijs Barendregt who gets it done. A winning margin then in 56 minutes and 29 seconds by 3.7 over Leonardo Paletta. His best finish in the league today. Dave Steadman will take third for T&D and keep the pressure up, with Ben Bennyworth taking fourth for Track Racer, and the T&D racing car of Timothy Stroh spinning his chance away of a victory. P5, all that he can manage. Inigo Mardones will take sixth for the Necchi Racing team. A good result for him, with Nigel Stock on debut, finishing where he started in seventh place. It is then Alex Everett in eighth, his Crest Autosport car with Apex Tracks, finding trouble with Diego Pereño today, with Fran Herrera ninth and Diego Pereño, first of the retirees, in 10th. Still racing around there, but not getting to the end with Stephen de Grevelier. And then you've got Logan Egan, Jeremy Pronk, Alfredo Morales, Ollie Peters, and then Patrick Linderboom, all out of the race today at a tricky auto club, and an incredibly tough challenge that everyone had to go through and fight for today. With that being said, we're going to jump ourselves in with a little bit of a conversation. Thijs Barendregt will join us right now. Victor overall. Thijs, that came out of nowhere. Opportunities, I think, were squandered by a lot of drivers here today. It was a tough last run. There was about 4 points where a caution could have come out. It stayed green, and you found yourself in victory lane. How does it feel?
It feels very weird. I didn't expect it, definitely, after Diego and Timothy were in the lead. They were really strong today, and well, I think my strategy worked out pretty well. I was like, also, well, I'm sorry for Timothy, but I was happy when I saw that he spun on pit road. Otherwise, I still think I would have had him. My pit entry was so on the limit.
Fuel was on the limit. They were all dicing about and trying to make sure their race was sorted. How difficult were the conditions out there today? It felt like 48-degree track temp and that wind whistling in from the south. It looked like it was always going to be difficult coming out of every corner.
Yeah, last season it was really easy to follow. You could, like, whatever you do, you could take, like, except like for really a lot of dirty air, you could take it flat, like around the whole track. And now, even in turn 4, where in practice we didn't really have to lift in someone's dirty air, we still had to get off it. It was really hard. And with the all tires, like even in clean air, you had to lift off if you wanted to take the low line into 1, just because the temps were so insanely high. But that made for a really interesting race, and very different from last season. I think the racing itself was hard, but for the most part clean till the end when the prizes were given away.
Well, some clean racing up towards the end. It's a very tough challenge coming up next time out. 1 week from today, it will be the Milwaukee Mile where we'll be jumping into next. So in terms of how you look at it, really, Thijs, is this going to be a case of, okay, championship lead, everyone that was sort of up there in the championships pretty much put this one as a drop round? Do you see this one as, okay, we've got to just start building a gap, building a margin and maintaining it between now and the end of the season?
Yeah, I think it will be difficult. Like, next week, Milwaukee isn't my strongest track, so we'll have to see. But at least it had a good result today, so I'm happy about that. And for a few guys, it will be their drop round, so that's at least one round gone for them. So if they make another mistake, it will be even harder to put a good championship run on the line.
Well, Thijs, floor's yours. Shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you?
Well, thanks to the Omega Group, Funbill, and thank you to BRT, as always.
No worries at all there. Thijs Barendregt, a big victory in the context of the championship. We'll get a chance to talk to Logan Egan here, who was a little bit down the order here today. Logan, conditions were difficult. It looked like today it was about just trying to survive out there, and it looked like on a couple of occasions there, the car just decided it wanted to bite against you.
Yeah, it was difficult track conditions out there today. It was hard with the understeer. I couldn't get the car to turn like I wanted it to. So it was just a really tough day out there on the track for us.
tough day, but I mean, you look out at it in terms of a result, you do gain up a couple places against some other drivers there. How do you feel about this race and how there were a lack of cautions out there? Because there were a lot of incidents over the course of the race, but not many that brought the caution out.
I felt the race was good. I felt like the cautions were reasonable. I mean, there was some wrecks that didn't have cautions, but I think they were all avoidable by the majority of drivers. But the cautions were pretty good there.
All good then. Milwaukee a week from today. How are you feeling for it?
Milwaukee statistically is not one of my best tracks, so we're going to hit the old test sessions a lot this upcoming week and hopefully find a line. And I think just go at it as hard as we can and try to figure out how to run the corners without lifting, because I think that's where the majority of my problems is right now.
Well, we'll see how it works for you. Logan Egan there joining us then here today. A 12th place, ultimately 26 laps down for the challenge. That's going to just about do it then for us here today at Auto Club Speedway in Fontana. A massive thanks has to go to a whole bunch of people here today for getting so much of things done. Of course, to all of our sponsors here, Uncle Luke Sticker and Shop. You got the likes of Track Racer, 603 Autosport, Digital Motorsport, Esports Sim, the GP Box, and on top of that, you have got yourself Apex Tracks, the motorsport and motor racing circuit wall art race track sculpture designers who manufacture it using Formula One and motorsport inspired rapid prototyping technologies. It's been an important race here today. From William Foyle on the cameras and myself, Jake Sparey, it is one where you'd have to say Thijs has just walked out through the fire and flames, has picked up a huge boon of a race victory, and his championship margin now will be a pretty important one to work with. One drop round for pretty much almost everybody. This is going to be a very tough season to win. It's a mile that comes up next. Who will buck the trend at Milwaukee?